Hello everybody and welcome back to another online history class with Tony. Last class we talked about two of the first three kings of China, Yao and Shun. In the end we left off with Yu's father, Gun, trying to build walls to block the floods, but they failed and he got fired. Today we're going to be talking about Yu, who is Gun's son. Shun hired Yu after firing Gun. He learned from his father's mistakes and studied the landscapes to see more options for blocking the water. Yu found out that even if he built strong and effective walls, they still wouldn't be able to hold back the water. If he built walls blocking water from the east, the water will flood from the west, north, and south. If you build walls blocking the water from the north, the water will flood from the south, west, and east. If you split the workers to build walls on all sides, they won't be very efficient, and the water will flood the places before they finish building the walls. So he began thinking of other methods. He tested some, but they didn't work. One day, he came up with an idea that was pretty different than his father, Gun's. Can you guess what it is? A. He built an aqueduct to transport the water from the rivers to the cities so there won't be enough water to flood and everybody gets more water supply. B. He built walls around the cities near the rivers to form something like a castle so he could block the water. C. He dug a trench connecting the rivers from where the flood was coming from with the ocean so that the river's water will flow into the ocean. D. He dug the ground of the rivers down so when it flooded, the water wouldn't reach the land. I will give you 5 seconds to answer this question, or you can just pause the video, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The correct answer was C, which states that Yu dug a trench connecting the rivers from where the flood was coming from with the ocean so that the river's water will flow into the ocean. That idea was quite the opposite of Gun's idea. The river's water will flow into the ocean, and this way the river will not have enough water to flood, and even if it tried to flood, it wouldn't work because there isn't just that much water in it. But there still was enough water in the river for growing crops and all of that things, and just like before. So everybody was happy and they felt saved. But there was a lot of time and effort put into this. And his workers spent a whole whopping 13 years digging trenches and luring water. 13 years! That's older than me! Through these 13 years, he passed his home a mere and trivial 3 times. This was very, very sad, especially because he left his house only 4 days after he was married to his wife, and the fact that he never actually went inside his house a single time. The first time he passed his house, he heard his wife crying in pain and his baby crying too. He so badly wanted to go inside his house, comfort his wife, and hug his son and hold him in his hand. Sadly, he didn't have enough time. The second time he passed his house, he heard his son calling him out. His wife waved to signal him to come back to the house just for some rest. He waved back, but continued going to the rivers and digging the trenches. He just didn't have enough time. The third time he passed his house, his child was already a teenager, being 13 years old. He ran over to Yu, held his hand, and hugged him. He didn't want Yu to leave and told him to stay, but he still left without entering his house to finish his work because this was the final year. After he finished digging the trenches and saving crops and people from drowning, he, being Ru, was exhausted. 13 years of work weighed down on him both physically and mentally. He was very thin. His skin color darkened a lot. His head seemed extraordinarily small compared to his body. His chin became sharp and pointed. He walked like an old man with his back arched. He lost almost all hair on his legs and arms, and there were lots and lots of calluses on his hands and feet. But wow, you can see now that he is a very, very, very dedicated to his work. And that work is going to be rewarded greatly, which we'll talk about later. For now, we're going to talk about Shun. When Yao was ruling, there were lots and lots of tribes that opposed him. Yao got rid of some, but not all. When Shun came into power, more tribes opposed him. So the first thing he did was try to make peace with them. If that didn't work, he would push them away from the cities into far, far away after he defeats them in battles. If they refused, then he would just kill them. Yeah. Then he assigned officers to each city so they can oversee the officers. This freed up... No, I mean, they can oversee the cities. The officers don't oversee themselves. No, they just oversee the cities. This freed up a lot of work from Shun because he didn't have to manage every single city and then people coming in with all these news reports and then some economy and all of that stuff, and he has to manage all of that at the same time. And this was actually quite good for the cities, so that Shun could actually work on some other stuff and everybody, and then so basically the work is all balanced out and it's all more efficient. After he assigned Ru to stop the flood, he went around and helped people. Lots and lots of them. He carried errands and helped even when he was very, very old. One day he died of sickness in the south. Everybody was sad and they needed a new king. Shun, of course, was prepared for his death just like Yao was. Before he died, he told the ministers that Ru was to become the next king when he dies. When Shun dies, of course. Ru wouldn't be the king if he just died, you know. Ru became the third king as a reward for his hard work and effort. And that's it for today, guys. See you all next Monday.